Hey everybody, thank you for checking out the Performance Anxiety Podcast on the Pantheon Podcast Network. I am your host, Mark, and I want to thank our sponsor, AKG, for sending us their Podcaster Essentials kit. It comes with a Lyra mic and a great set of headphones. If you've ever thought about starting your own podcast, that is the best way to do it. Erik Golts and Dave Fulton of the band Motrik are my guests. Motrik is on the front lines of a Krautrock revival. The band's origin can be traced back to a drunken conversation about the genre. And it's really funny to listen as the memories come flooding back to Dave and Erik as we go through the band's history. They give me a really good lesson on Krautrock and what drew them to it in the first place. Motrik has also gone through a few changes, like starting off as an instrumental band and then adding lyrics as they grew. They tell me how they one-up Kraftwerk and how a conversation with artist Jonas Hartley about fog machines led to a Unifox. At one point, my dog interrupts us, and I make Erik feel bad about photographing an album cover. So follow Motrik at Motrik Band on Instagram, MOTRIKBAND. Order the new album Moon from Bandcamp or their label Jealous Butcher. Follow us at Performance ANX on all the socials, and you can support the show at ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety or buy merch at performanceanx.threadless.com. So hop on the space train and check out Erik Golts and Dave Fulton of Motrik on Performance Anxiety, part of the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Shit, all right, I'm going to try it.
Yep.
Here we go. Hi, this is Erik and Dave from Motrik. Dave, you're talking over me, buddy. Jesus fucking Christ. There's your promo. And you're listening to Performance Anxiety. That's the one. All right, let me try again. Are you ready, Dave?
Quiet.
You in a quiet space?
Yeah.
Hey, this is Erik and Dave, and you're listening to... Oh, shit. Okay. Yeah. Hey, this is Erik and Dave.
I'm Dave.
That's Dave from the band Motrik. And you're listening to Performance Anxiety. Hey, Dave, let's do a combo one. Yeah. Okay, ready? But let's not... Okay, let's not talk it through. Here we go. Hey, this is Erik.
And I'm Dave. And we're in Motrik?
We're in Motrik. And we have a new album.
And we have some performance anxiety.
Thanks for listening. There you go. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, I want to put it in this thing here.
Okay.
No more shaky cam.
Okay.
All right.
I was telling Mark when we couldn't reach you.
Is it dialing somebody?
What?
No, I hope not. There.
I was telling Mark when we first started that wasn't, such a great idea that we got both of us.
Are you there?
Yeah.
Dave?
Oh no, I turned you down.
Jesus Christ.
I'm recording all of this.
I hope so. This is important.
I don't know what I look like, but there we go.
All right.
Okay. Peace.
All right. Is everybody where we can hear and see each other?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Okay. So thank you guys. I appreciate you doing this. This is going to be fun.
Appreciate you having us.
Yeah. Thanks.
The way I like to normally start things is by finding out a little bit about your histories and your background, not just how you guys got together, but how you got into music in the first place. So Dave, let's start with you. Was there a lot of music growing up in the house? Was music a big part of your life growing up?
Oh, I would say it was. My dad ultimately succumbed to being a musician. I mean, that's what he was doing until he passed away.
Wow.
So it kind of happened at the divorce point. So Dad went off and bought a guitar to punish my mom. So
Interesting.
I guess, I don't know. That's I was young at that point. I just know that when I started going out to visit him every summer, my bedroom was custom amplifiers with sheets and other things thrown over the top to form the furniture of the bedroom.
They're the tuck and rolls, right?
Yeah, it was actually really cool. I mean, it was kind of great to grow up, and every year there'd be a different crop because my dad got really good at doing the tuck and roll. He did. He would redo all the tuck and roll on it. He wanted his stuff to look great.
Oh,
were they the sparkle? Tuck and roll sparkle?
Always the black. I have no memory of any of the sparkle from those days.
Whoa.
No sparkle.
No sparkle.
So when did you start taking music seriously then? Were you taking lessons as a kid, or was it school band, or?
Well, that's a complicated issue. In other words, there was none of that.
Yeah.
There was a desire, but there also was a desire to do other things at that time. So, yes, I bought a guitar to punish my mom, and realized that my dad was kind of right, because Dad always wanted me to practice, and I also realized I was a terrible guitarist. So when my love of computers joined my love of building synthesizers, happened in around the late 70s, definitely by 1980. That was my fate was sealed. I was back into the music.
Wow. So what were you really influenced by at the time? I mean, now, and you guys are gonna have to teach me, and forgive my ignorance, and teach me about Krautrock, because I don't know much about the genre at all, and I know that's what Motrik's the music is based around. So, but you guys do a lot more than just that. So, what were your influences growing up? Obviously the Krautrock, but what else was there?
Are you talking to me specifically?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll get to Erik eventually.
Oh, I grew up with the usuals. When the divorce happened, there was a crate of my dad's records there that included, early Beatle albums. Some albums I regret getting rid of, lots of mono editions, VJ editions, stuff that I know is really valuable now, but I don't know what happened to them. But those were obviously a huge influence. I think that and a desire to do drugs was kind of, psychedelics.
Well, okay.
Nothing injectable. Nothing that would hurt me.
Right.
Not really.
Nothing sharp and pointy.
Yeah, nothing sharp. I was more interested in just smoking the cannabis at the time.
Okay.
I feel like that's kind of the crux of what we're about. It's nothing sharp and pointy.
Yeah. Except those guitar
riffs. That's what this
riffs.
Conversation, like we want the takeaway. That's the takeaway. Nothing sharp and pointy. Yeah.
Maybe that's what
Never
I'll title
more.
this episode.
Yeah.
If to answer the final bit of your questions, what is Krautrock? Think of it as, it started as a hippie, kind of the German youth were rejecting, obviously, what had happened in the prior generation, the World War II generation. They had a lot of questions they needed to ask their parents. And much, much more. They were going through the same kind of turmoil in the late 60s as the United States was. So out of that movement came a very unique form of music that actually was kind of a really broad range of music that kind of adopted of their own. They didn't want to do necessarily the English progressive rock or the American progressive rock. It was their own thing, and it affectionately is known as Krautrock.
Okay.
And I'll let Erik describe what some of those bands might be, because, that's kind of really important. There's a variety of styles, but it's all very uniquely German.
So, Erik, let's get to you. How did you get into music initially? Bands, lessons, marching band? What was it?
I think growing up, I think it has to come back to my mom playing piano, and she's also a really good singer, and so she would sing, play piano.
Okay.
Not often, but sometimes, like definitely Christmas Eve, of wonderful memories of hearing those sounds wafting up, really, really nice.
That's
and
awesome.
So I don't, there was that, right? So loving music, I think from an early age, hearing those sounds, getting really into the, just how it makes you feel.
Okay.
And that was like a warm, comforting feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think all kinds of sounds always interested me, like kind of captivated me. So I think when I saw that there was this machine where, music could come out of it, and I'm referring to a radio.
Okay.
Yeah. and when I heard that, like that fascinated me too. So, and then we had this Beatles record that my brother and I would put on 45 instead of 33. We listened to Sgt. Pepper's a double speed.
Nice.
And sing along like chipmunks. And that's kind of another touchstone moment, I feel.
My brother and I used to do the same thing. We had a record player that also go down to 16. And so we would play the chipmunks really slow.
Evil.
And then we would also play.
That was my jam. 16.
Yeah.
So you could play the chipmunks and then it would sound like the Beatles.
Yeah, but then David Seville sounded like Satan.
Yeah.
Always does.
Yeah, he does at normal speed.
Yes.
It was really weird. And
Alvin? No.
Yeah. Alvin.
Ooh.
Yes, Dave. They just went Davey and Goliath on you at that point. Hey, Dave.
Oh, no. Those were indoctrinating cartoons, Davey and Goliath. Those took you places in the early 60s.
I'm sure.
Early 70s.
You didn't really need drugs with those
Right to
guys.
Jesus camp.
Right to Jesus, yeah.
Yeah.
So what really sparked the desire to play for both of you guys? And I want to get to the more how you got into krautrock specifically, but I want to know, when did you start to play in bands and play in front of people? When did you start getting the confidence to actually play in public?
I guess I wanted to, for some reason, I wanted to play guitar when I was like 16, 17. Probably like 87% of youth have the same desire, but I kind of went through with it. And I really loved blues at that point. So I was like, yeah, I want to learn how to play blues guitar. I want to play like John Lee Hooker.
Yes. Or
like Cop, BB King, riffs and all those kind of things. So that's kind of that was my entry point, I feel like, into, oh, wow, I can do this, just got to learn that one 5-note scale and I'm in, and it's very attractive to be able to do that and make the sounds in your head and the ones you're hearing on the sound emanating boxes that you can do that too. It's pretty empowering. So that really kind of, I loved it. And then I don't know, 3 months in or something, my buddy and I, we just started we'd go down to Pioneer Courthouse Square, and it's like the square in the middle of Portland. Okay. And we were from a little town outside of Portland called Yam Hill. So it's like a big deal to go into the town. And we'd sit there and I'd been playing for 3 months, and then we'd make up stupid songs about things we saw. So I guess my point is, from very early on, it was this performance thing. It wasn't just the songs, right? It's about the performance aspect of it too.
Okay.
I feel like that's the theater almost, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Putting on a show, right?
Right.
That's fun. Yeah. So I think that kind of it's the 1-2 punch of loving the music and then also the show.
Oh, that makes sense. Dave, what about you? When did you really decide that you were feeling confident enough to join a band or play out in front of people in public?
Well, that kind of was in fits and starts.
Okay.
In other words, I had a very complicated. There were children involved at the time.
Okay.
So there was a gap So just when you thought,
Just
when I was
like
in my
random?
late teens,
Random
Well,
children,
just-
Dave?
Just running in and out of his life.
yeah, just, ones that you make. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And that stops what you were starting to do. And your priorities change.
I was getting worried I may have to change the
about
title of
the
this podcast.
About the time I could start, ignoring them, no, it wasn't quite that desperate sounding. No, because, really, by 1990, I moved to Portland and had already started playing in front of people.
Okay.
So it was like, it had to happen. It was just like, where we were living just didn't offer the opportunities to do that. Although that's the difference. In the small town that I was living in, you would get together with your friends or my brother, and we would play in various, forms, or I would just sit in a room by myself with a tape machine and lash together keyboard computer mechanisms throughout the 80s.
Oh, wow.
Lots of, experiments in space. So I didn't have any real intention of playing out until I moved here to Portland. And then there was an electronic and experimental music scene that allowed you to try, start playing out. And honestly, that's when playing out became a thing and something to enjoy and to take seriously.
That's really interesting. So I'm assuming you went and saw some stuff and then decided, all right, there's a place for me here. Were you playing with other people at the time, or were you just up there by yourself?
At that time, it was certainly with other people. It was with, how shall I say, a very experimental random outfit called Dumpster, some of the first types of, or things that we were actually paid to play occasionally.
Oh, wow.
Paid to stop more often. But it was very experimental music. And Portland had a very experimental music, very inventive experimental music scene in the 90s and the 80s. But it random as it comes, everybody brings every synthesizer they own or every noise-making device they own, and you get together, and it was, brilliant. Oh, it sucked. It was brilliant. It sucked. It was pain, pleasure for the audience. For the performer, it was always bliss.
Yeah. Was that when you started Dweller at the Threshold?
That came out of that. Yes,
Okay.
That is correct. And by then, the die was cast.
It infiltrated you. It was inside you at that point, like an alien.
I think it did, and I think it did more than the guys in Dweller to a greater and lesser extent, true and false in different, configurations. But I think it was real obvious. It's like, no, I want to grow this and I want to do this more. And then I met Cord, and then we did other things. So it was a very natural evolution. So
how did the band, and I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing the name right, because there's like slashes.
Motrik.
Okay. I don't know. Couldn't tell if it was a hard O, a soft O.
Motrik.
How did you guys all come together as a band? How did you meet up?
Well, let's see. Dave, myself, and Lee all worked together at Oregon Public Broadcasting.
Cool.
Yeah. So we knew, like, I knew Dave as kind of the weirdo down in the IT area of the building that happened to have a couple synthesizers in his office and a copy of Tape Op, and it's like, this guy's cool, you know.
Nice.
I need to hang out with this dude. And he'd be like, hey, you need, like, I don't know, like if I had a broken amplifier or something, he would just give me a new one, or fix a synthesizer of mine. Just like, so nice and so giving. Like, this guy's cool. And I worked with Lee, like we worked together, so we knew each other.
So what were you guys doing at the broadcasting company? Lee
and I were making websites, maintaining opb.org. Dave was, you're the director
at that point. I was the director of IT engineering.
Yeah.
Before that I was broadcast, but everybody knows what happened in the 80s. Computers took over.
Yeah, unfortunately.
How did Cord get roped in? Because it was really, I feel like it was Lee and you, Dave, that, like you should be telling the story, because I was pulled in later.
Yeah, Dave.
Right, but you were pulled in almost immediately because because you worked with us. Yeah,
right.
I mean, the reality is that Lee and I were just having a drink, and we had this idea, and we go, let's get Erik, and it was, let's play Krautrock. And
who had the idea for Krautrock, though?
I think we were both. I think we both wanted to do it. That was I don't.
Was Noy playing on the stereo or something, or
it could have happened that way. You know what? That's where you need Lee, because I probably was really drunk at the time.
Where all good ideas start.
Yeah, and it kind of went like that. It was just very organic. The idea came about, and I think we asked you almost immediately, and then we asked another guy, that Tate Peterson, who was also working with us, and that was how it started. And then it ended real quick because Tate was starting, I think, another thing, and that kind of went off and stopped showing up. And Cord, who I've been playing with in another band, lived around the corner, and there might have been a couple of 5-piece Motriks for a while.
There were.
Oh, wow.
There were, yeah. And then Tate just went off to do the Tate thing. And we just ended up playing together as a 4-piece and enjoying it. The other band I was in with Cord folded, and so did the band he was in, and this kind of became where we all lived for almost 10 years. Yeah.
Wow. So Krautrock was the idea from the beginning then?
Yeah. Totally.
All right. So what is Krautrock? I mean, how, if like someone like me who's not familiar with it, or someone who doesn't even know what it is, how would you describe it? How would you try to tell somebody, maybe a couple of bands they should check out besides Motrik, to kind of give them a good feel for what would be a typical Krautrock sound?
All right, I'm going to do my elevator pitch for Krautrock.
All right,
because you got yours in.
That's great. Well, that's perfect. It's what I planned on.
I mean, it's a pretty long elevator, so
space elevator.
Grab a tall drink of iced tea and stick around.
All right, I'm in.
No, it's so Dave hinted at didn't hint, but told about the World War II kind of thing. But there was an important component out of that. So after World War II, and I think probably during and maybe even prefacing, I'm not sure the exact time period, but like 40s, 50s, same as in America, there was some really, really shitty music being played, like really just vanilla stuff, right?
Right.
And
Schlager.
And in Germany, the music was called Schlager. So it was a genre, like easy listening, I guess, or something like that. But it had like maybe the smooth kind of Glenn Miller strings, and then the crooner, that
like
whole
a
kind of
Goldschlager.
A Goldschlager, the skinny microphone with the little Bob Barker microphone.
Oh, and, yes.
And then the guy kind of he's like this perfect hair and
wearing a suit,
all that stuff. So that was Schlager, and that was happening just like in America in the 50s. There's this kind of vanilla stuff happening, but there's this undercurrent, right? There's rock and roll surfacing. And So Krautrock, like you read documentaries about it or whatever, and the musicians they interview are like, yeah, this was a response to Schlager. Like it was a conscious, like we need to like take off. And I think it was, fuck World War II. Like our country just, what the hell was that? Right. Yeah, the people that were considerate. So, and I think the musicians that were considerate were, okay, let's go in this whole crazy new direction. And I think they weren't afraid at all. So there's this, right? There's that kind of like nexus of things happening there. And then they're hearing all this crazy music from all over the world, of course, the United States. But I think there was this conscious decision also to do their own thing, like go off on a trajectory, but also reject kind of the showmanship a little bit of I don't want to say glam rock, but like kind of the Led Zeppelin, like here, like we're putting on a giant show. We're like this uber rock band. Right. And I think like the Krautrock bands I'm into are more, it's all about the music. And not to say Led Zeppelin wasn't, but I don't want to mention their name anymore in this podcast. But they've had their time. Now it's Motrik's time. So I think there is this conscious decision to reject that sensibility, right? Okay. And be experimental, and then there was technology involved, synthesizers happening. So it's just this cool, like, these events taking place that led to this little melting pot that Krautrock came out of, and certain bands popped out of this, like Neu. To me, that's like Krautrock. Like the ultimate. Klaus Dinger hitting the drums. He invented the Motrik beat. So this is another important part of the elevator pitch. Okay. Is you have to mention the Motrik beat. Okay. Essential. So and all it is. Yeah. Want me to talk about that? Yes, because I'm not exactly sure what you're describing. Okay, so not all Krautrock does this, and it's not just Krautrock, but this is the drum beat that's the Motrik beat. So, and so it's 2 kicks, doom doom, 1 snare, followed by 3 kicks, 1 snare. So do 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 do, and that beat, it's like this pulse, right? And Klaus Dinger, I don't know if it's true or not, but he's kind of the guy that invented it, it seems, or made it popular. And it's just evocative of you're just going down this road, traveling, or going on a trajectory into outer space, or you're moving, you're traveling. Okay. And it pushes the music forward, no matter what you're doing. You're droning. You're doing some changes, not many in our case, but there can be complicated music with chords circling around this beat, and it works. It's a really amazing beat. And once you know the beat, you start, it's like any other kind of thing you learn about. You're like, oh yeah, that's familiar because I've learned about it. And the Motrik beat, you just hear it everywhere. It might not be the whole song. Might be for a bridge or something. Like, why didn't they just keep on that and not change and just keep on the bridge and never change? And maybe there's a weird harmony vocal over the top occasionally. And that's kind of Krautrock, right? This real steady rhythm, no big jumps in chords, I would say. And kind of maybe some pointillism aspects around it. Now, having said that, there's also Krautrock's this huge wide cast of genres and our wide net of genres and subgenres, and it's almost like saying what's rock and roll, because there's all these different ideas of what it is. But I feel like what I just told you was kind of the nexus of Krautrock, like what kind of like it's the Big Bang, right? Okay, right. And from that sensibility, you get all these other bands like Can. Is a whole, like a different aesthetic, which they're all about live improvisation, highly trained musicians just crushing it, for an hour and a half, making amazing music. But it's a little more free, a little more jazzy, Electric Miles kind of sounding, as opposed to Neu, which is this real precise, like clockwork machine. Very German. Very German. Very German. So there's Can, Neu, and then Kraftwerk, of course, which has the electronic component. But I think those three bands, I mean, what do you think, Dave? But I think those three bands, they capture that kind of, we're going to travel to a space, this kind of limitless expanse, but we're each going to do it in our kind of own way. But there's this, they all share this commonality of just going and kind of not looking back.
I agree with you, except I'm going to add to that I think that what you actually did was define what was uniquely German about that form of rock and roll. That because Kraftwerk, for instance, has gone through multiple changes. You know, we were talking last night. I think you were, or was it Korg? We were talking about Kraftwerk in 1972 with the Cone.
With the Cone.
And it was a completely different band. And it was more like Can. It was live improvisation. Definitely the electronics were there, but they were using them as a live performance tool, improvisationally, and with obvious structure. But they went through the change, and one might also say that Can also went back and forth. Different albums. All they kind of. I mean, luckily for them, they had that opportunity to switch it up from album to album.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, I mean, maybe Tangerine Dream could be added as another iconification of what is German Krautrock without it being what is German progressive Krautrock, because that opens up a whole bunch of other different areas that weave in and out of what is Krautrock, but also can go into English psychedelia or progressive rock.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Yeah, I think people were listening to this and it was influencing, music all over the world. Like there was a two-way street for sure happening. Like so many bands are cite Kraftwerk, or Can as a big influence.
And those are bands that I've actually heard of, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
At what point did you guys decide that you had enough material, you wanted to start recording? Was that the plan from the beginning, to actually record albums, or were you just playing live and then said, what, we've actually got enough material, let's try to record some of it?
I think we were just jamming at first, right? Like let's just get together and play. And then I think
there was a performance.
There was?
Yeah. Long before we even thought about recording, there was this show, right? At a Mediterranean food place?
No, Ethiopian.
Ethiopian, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, but we had to have songs before that. Well,
I think we got to a point, if I remember right, where we had the songs, but he asked about recording. So I think,
Dave, let me tell you what Mark wants. All right.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you right now. This is what he wants to hear. He wants to hear about the songs and then the recording, right? The songs had to come before the recording.
They did, because we had to play them first.
We had to play them first. It's all about the order of these things.
At a McDonald's.
Unless you're just a Krautrock jam band, improvisational troupe.
Yeah. So we got together, and I feel like really early on, we just started like coming up with songs.
Yep.
Or the jams. This is what happened, right? Because we were all just playing, and we would just start playing these things together. Like it would form from all of us, these ideas. I'm like, wow, that was really interesting. And we were in a studio that Cord had rented out. It was his studio space above a comic, Dark Horse Comics, and in Milwaukee, Oregon. And so we always had it recording while we were doing these jams, and some really cool stuff came out. We're like, what if we put that section with this section? A very organic kind of beginning to the songwriting process, and then we'd fine tune it. And that's all the context I wanted to give, Dave. I'm going to hand it over to you.
That's actually really, really good context. I forgot all about that. But despite the fact that because I was actually thinking about the recording, which we didn't do at Chord Studio. We did it at Type Foundry. And I think that might have been a turning point for us as well. I think at that point there, we finished the album. And at least for me, it's like, this band has potential. Let's keep going. That definitely came to my head. This is good. This was fun and it felt right. But we did that at Type Foundry.
Okay.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
So the first album, I mean, the music sounds very, it's trying to find the best way to describe it. It's kind of, it seems very orderly, but the songs in the first album, they just kind of flow one into the other. And to me, with that drum beat that you're talking about, it seems, very tight. It's very tight beat. And it's almost like an interesting dichotomy where you get this really tight drum beat. Everybody sounds really together, and in the guitar, maybe even a little, not, I don't want to say angular, but each song just kind of flows. It's a really interesting mix of tight and together, but also free flowing and sounds jammy and improvisational. It's really interesting to listen to. I really like that dichotomy.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know where to go from there, but
yeah,
so,
I think that,
and it's all instrumental.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, we love doing that where like we'll kind of set up a framework for a song, and we know during certain sections, like we've got a little room to stretch,
Okay.
So we're going to come out of it with a nod to each other. It's not mapped out, and that gives us room, because sometimes Cord or Dave will just start, doing something, and then they start interacting, and we get this interesting third eye appearing, over the river of Krautrock or something, and so we keep going for like 15 more minutes,
Wow.
when we're practicing, right, or whatever, and it just, you're like, whoa, that was like, what happened to time there? So we love doing that for sure. And I think hanging those kind of sections on like a structure with these kind of, a few tight riffs here and there. I think that's what we were exploring on that album for sure.
The second album, Safety Copy, that you guys added vocals on that. Did you leave vocals off the first album on purpose and then do more vocals on the second album on purpose, or why add the vocals? Did you just not want to be known as an instrumental band?
We didn't reject anything.
Okay.
It just happened. I mean, there was no intention of adding vocals. There was no intention of not having vocals. It just, right, Erik?
Yeah.
Eric's like, I didn't want to sing.
Yeah. I mean, I like singing. That's kind of part of what I like about music. And I remember we were just practicing. We had this dumpy space where it flood on the first floor.
Oh, jeez.
Mudslide.
And, we've got a lot of equipment. And so go out to a local show, where you're going to squeeze onto this little stage. But to get there, you have to bring an 8x10 bass cabinet down these stairs and all this shit,
jeez.
And you love it, so you do it, right? But it's just added to the adventure a little bit. But anyways, we're in space doing our thing, and I think I'd been doing it a while where I would just sing a little bit while I'm playing, like, oh, there's a little hook there, or I'm just thinking of these words, and it's that, what's the song? God, we haven't played it in forever. Where it's where I say roads following.
Moving Destination.
Moving Destination.
That's how it started.
Roads following. Roads
That was the first song that I sang on, and I just, those words, epic poem, really. Those two words just came to me, and I just started repeating them when we were jamming on it. Like, oh, that's fun. And it was kind of like the band I was in before, I was singing a lot more. It was very singer, song centric, kind of a different idea.
Okay.
Song trick.
Next band.
And so I had some
Krautrock
trepidation.
acapella band.
There you go. Yeah. That's all it would be.
Yeah.
So I had a little trepidation going into it because I don't want this to be. I was a little nervous about it, frankly. I respect Dave and Cord and Lee's playing to such a level that I didn't want to make a fool of myself. So I had this kind of all musicians are so insecure, right? So I wanted to go in there and add some bits, and so I had this trepidation. I didn't want to come out and start, not that I belt, but do it too much, right? Because the music's so sparse. It needed this little pocket to work. And I realized, oh my God, that's all you need to do. And it's another layer. It's not about it's not lyrics over the song. It's just part of it. It's another instrument. And so that really kind of, I think when I started thinking about singing that way, it made it a lot easier for me and more fun. And
that's one of the cool things about it is it's not vocal heavy.
Yeah.
The band is not vocal heavy. It's kind of, like you're saying, just what the song needs. And it just adds to it. And that's one of the things I really noticed about each album. Except for the first, because there's no vocals.
Good point.
But
way to cover your tracks there. That's good.
Hey,
good work.
I'm a pro. That's why I make the big podcasting bucks. But as far as the song structures, is there a lot of precedence for really stretched out songs in Krautrock? Because you guys are not afraid to do a long song. I mean, on the new album, you've got a 14-minute song backed right up against the 13-minute song. You've got the entire 33 album, which is 2 songs, equals 33 minutes. So is that typical of Krautrock, where the songs will be stretched out and longer?
Well, I would definitely say that there's a bit of both.
Okay.
There's room for short songs, and there's definitely a history of experimentally long songs, within the genre. Definitely. I mean, Can just released a new live set. A live set that is essentially 3 jams.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they're all 30 minutes, 40 minutes long, which is kind of, album length. And that's awesome. That could be an entire album.
Yeah.
But, so the precedence has been set. And we just are, sure, everything's been done before. We've done now we're doing some shorter stuff, which I'm enjoying as well. But definitely, I like the long bits.
You definitely get to, be featured in the longer bits. That's for sure.
I think everybody gets to be featured a bit in the long bits.
Yeah, and going on the bands playing for a long time kind of thing, bringing up Can again, they used to, in their practice sessions, play a single riff for an entire day.
Oh my God.
8 hours. So I assume there's, bathroom breaks, but the groove kept going, right? Someone was playing, and then I assume that's kind of like a P-Funk style, right? Rotating in and out, kind of like to keep it rolling.
Okay.
But yeah, 8 hours they would just go to, and not to learn something, but to explore a basic riff. Really cool.
That's fascinating.
So, and I think it goes back to this road, this trajectory that you just keep going on. And that's it's kind of like the journey is the destination.
And that's the constant, the electronic aspect of German Teutonic music. That repeating, whether it's the Motrik beat or whether it's the sequence that repeats over and over again, okay. And you improvise around. That's the thing that ties Tangerine Dream together with Can.
Now, you guys definitely have some other influences creeping in there, because I was listening to King of Tonga, and that's got this really like down and dirty groove going on. That sounds awesome. That track is great.
Thank you. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
That's a chord Amato riff.
Okay.
Right there, our guitar player. Yeah.
Is it nice? It's
yeah.
So what else is creeping into the sounds besides Krautrock? Because is it?
Oh yeah.
There's definitely some other influences going on in the music.
Totally. There's a lot of contemporary influences for sure.
Okay.
Like, we definitely went through our King Gizzard phase. I think a lot of folks have. We like that song Rattlesnake. Really kind of. I think that one influenced us, and that definitely had an influence on King of Tonga. I'd say with that kind of.
Definitely.
Okay, that makes sense now. Yeah.
And I think seeing a band not taking themselves too seriously, like they're really having fun. You see it in their videos and stuff. And, especially that period. That's cool stuff. So I think that, and then for me personally, like LCD Sound System, which I think Lee is heavily influenced, and to a lesser extent Chord, and Dave just discovered them. So I'm so proud of you, Dave.
I'm new to the MGA party.
We're all so proud of Dave for discovering LCD Sound System. But so that kind of like funk, electro, punk mixture, I think it might not rear its head as much in Motrik, but that's definitely an influence and something that's driving my aesthetic when I'm thinking of what I want to play.
I can definitely hear a little bit of like some Richard Lloyd influence in the guitar, like on and I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, Naaman 1, like around the 12-minute mark. It sounds like something from Marquee Moon is creeping into the song. For
sure, yeah. We've discussed Marquee Moon at length.
Oh yeah.
And Lee's like, oh, I found this. They released this sweet live recording of Marquee Moon and or the Epic Jammer, right? And so for sure, yeah. I think are we all television fans?
Oh God, yes. I mean, did you see them? I didn't see them in the day, but I was so lucky to see them a few years ago at the Aladdin, and it was awesome.
Oh, cool. I'm enjoying talking to you guys. I don't need to reflect on Richard Lloyd being so curt.
Well, you brought him up with the Neumann one, right?
Yes.
Right.
Or Naaman, not Neumann,
Naaman,
microphone.
yeah.
Which I think I was looking like what's side in German? So it's side 1, side 2.
Oh, okay.
But it might be a different word, side used for, I don't know, something you throw on a house or we could be way off.
Side of beef.
Beef. Yeah.
Side of beef.
Dave, you and I are on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Side of beef. There's an album title.
I was going to say, it's the next Motrik album. Side of beef.
But those two songs, when we were recording the first album at Type Foundry, we just came in, I think it started at like 11 a.m. the session. We were in for 2 days.
Yeah.
And we'd all kind of show up around then, and while the engineer Jason Powers, shout out, was getting sounds, we would kind of improvised. And turns out he was recording, and we just kind of did that whole thing, just kind of playing.
Awesome.
There were 2 takes.
2 takes, yeah.
Right. And I'm trying to remember what we were jamming on one of the takes, and Lee just came in. Like, he arrived a little bit later than the rest of us.
Literally walked in the door and started playing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sat down and went.
And so I think that's what the 2 takes was the one where he walked in the door, started playing. That's like side 1 maybe. And then side 2 is like, hey, let's just try that again. That was pretty cool.
That is awesome. Oh my gosh.
And I don't think there were overdubs or
No.
there may have been an edit or 2 for length.
Yeah.
But
I don't no
there were
overdubs.
like there's moments in there where I'm like, that sounds like an edit, but I know it's not. Like there was these cool mind meld things happening for sure.
That is awesome. All right, so I have a question for you guys. Aside from the obvious, what is a Unifox?
Well, it's from the mind of
The creator, Jonas Hartley.
Yeah.
He's an interesting guy.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Unifox is on the cover.
Can you
obviously.
imagine the creator of the Unifox being an interesting guy?
It hard to believe, but I'll take your word for it.
He's awesome. Such a great guy.
So how did the Unifox come about? I mean, that's...
All right. So we played the show in Portland at the Doug Fir Lounge. And I was dutifully manning the merch booth. And this guy comes up and says, so a little preface to this is when we play live, like Dave mentioned the cone with Krautrock, we have a cone on stage and we one up Krautrock. We shoot fog through the cone.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Pretty sweet. Sometimes we'll throw a strobe light on it too.
Yeah. So it lights up pretty.
Lights up pretty. So yeah, if you're not into the music, come for the fog and cone.
The cone.
Yeah.
And so this guy comes up and we get an interesting crew that comes up after shows. It's like people that really kind of want to nerd out. And I just like, okay, talk to Dave.
Yeah.
Have your little tangerine dream sesh. Have fun with that. But this guy came up and he asked me directly, hey, what kind of fog machine was that? And so immediately my heart went out to him. Like this, he understands me. So it's a Chauvet Hurricane, like, it's like, oh yeah. So we're talking fog machines and it comes out that he's into like lights, like lasers and stuff. And
okay.
Oh, that's cool. Like he's like, yeah, and I'm trying to I want to do some lasers and fog stuff, Oh yeah, speaking my language, buddy. Like let's keep chatting.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'm also like, I'm an artist too. Here, I'll show you some of the things I make, but kind of offhand, like the focus of this is the fog and the laser. Like that was,
okay.
That's the important part that we were discussing. The art was an aside. And he starts showing me these pictures of like full-size paper mache horses.
Whoa.
That he's working on, like life-size, lifelike, like really realistic.
Oh my God.
And he's making like plywood frames for these things to hang this paper mache because they're so heavy, at the point.
Yeah.
These are octopus tentacles and Unifoxes.
Unifoxes,
yeah.
Wow.
I think it may have been that first conversation where I saw the Unifox. Possibly. I might be making this up too.
Didn't one of the horses was a unicorn, was it not?
Oh yeah, he's into unicorns.
Yeah.
But then he's into like these, I'm acting like a unicorn's a real animal.
Yeah.
So he's into these imaginary animals like unicorns.
He likes unicorns and the imaginary ones.
And the imaginary animals, yeah. Yeah. So he does combinations of animals, like he'll do a Pegasus kind of thing. So there's that, right?
A unigator.
I hope he listens to this. Yeah. So there was that conversation and he's a big fan. He's like, I just love this music. And so he was down to help us out. I think we'd text back and forth about like stupid ideas, and like, let's combine the lasers and the animals. And so let's put eyes in the Unifox. What do you think about that? And he's like, oh my God, like, why this just exists already. Like, this is, it's one of those things where you're like, of course, it's the thing that has to happen.
Oh yeah.
And so he kind of became, before we stopped playing due to COVID, he kind of became part of like the show. Like, oh, is Jonas bringing his stuff? And he would bring the Unifox. I'd sit it on top of my bass amp. And then he'd run other laser pattern things going while we're playing. Super fun. Yeah, he had like cards. Like, he would get more people like after the show talking to him than to us, I feel.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You're going to have to give me, I'm hoping he has an Instagram account because I want to tag
him. He totally does. Let's shout out to Jonas. I think it's just at Jonas Hartley. Let me look it up here because
I got to make sure he gets tagged in this.
Yeah, he also helped out with the video, Artificial Head.
That's right.
Oh, cool.
Artificial. It's the party. Artificial. Head. It's the party.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Or is it Automatic Head?
Okay, so here he is. Oh, that's funny. You type in Jonas and you get Jonas Brothers.
Oh, the anti-Jonas.
The anti-Jonas. But you also get Jonas Hartley. Oh, he's made a Viper recently.
A Univiper?
So it's Jonas, Jonas Hartley. Jonas Hartley.
All right, so we got to check him out and we'll tag him on the posts.
Tag him on the post.
Because I want him listening to this, and I want to see if he makes a Unigator or the Univiper.
You should talk to this guy. Yeah, he's great. Really sweet guy, for sure.
So the new album, there's a little bit of a difference with Moon. There's some vocals, but they're not as clean as the vocals on the other albums. So it sounds like you've got some reverb on there. They're a little more ethereal, whereas the other vocals were a lot cleaner. Like you were just on a mic and then did the vocals, and that's the way they stayed. These sound a little more maybe processed. Or was that a conscious decision to make all the vocals a little more ethereal?
I think they were like the material kind of begged for that. Like it just kind of it made sense because the other things in the songs. I think this album, there's a lot of shifting layers and kind of these precise frequency level things happening that are a little more subtle maybe. And so the vocals kind of did that as well. I think a big part of it too is the guy that helped us record and produce it, Jonah Nold. We know these Jonah types.
Yeah.
he doesn't have an S on the end. And he helped us record this thing and mix it. And we were always like, yeah, put more stuff on the vocals, like, trip it out as much as you want, have fun with it kind of thing. So we weren't afraid, but really the ultimate aesthetic choices, like the final twisting of the knobs was up to him. And when he would come in with the mix, I'd just be like, yeah, that's now we're talking kind of thing.
And I'm kind of glad you said that because about it sounding ethereal rather than effects, because it's not over the top. You're not like drenched in just reverb all day. It's I think at least a couple of songs though, you doubled your own vocals on the synthesizer. So that, and I think Jonah and you went back and forth about how to get that just right. And it really did it's not reverb, it's something else. And
yeah.
I think it's quite unique.
I really love it. I think it really adds to the whole feel of the album. The whole album, like you were saying, it sounds like a journey, like because you got that Motrik beat going, and that just it sounds like you're heading into space or something. Like, okay, so specifically Silver Twin. Uh-huh. That it sounds like you're on a train going to space.
Yeah, Space Train.
Space Train.
Oh
That's
shit!
that's a new one. That's a new one.
That's like a side project.
Uh-huh.
Space Train. Dave Fulton's Space Train.
And it's got to have a unicorn Space Train variant.
I can see it.
Unicorn Space Train variant.
So look, we're coming up with all these ideas.
Yeah.
I should be charging you guys.
Oh, you're not?
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Whoa.
Dave's head just got enormous.
It really did.
What the hell?
Sorry, is
Oh.
this one better?
Oh, what? Dave's holding magnifying glasses up to his face.
Yeah. This
All
is
right.
true. I can confirm that.
Shit's getting weird now.
Yeah.
So you've got this awesome new album, and like I mentioned before, you've got these 2 songs. You guys are, and maybe it's the spirit of Krautrock, because you're talking about, these guys were experimenting, not afraid to try all kinds of new things. You've got 2 extended tracks back to back, a 14-minute track in Space Elevator, backed with Stabilize, which is 13 minutes and some change.
Yeah, probably.
That's pretty bold, especially for someone who's, for me, like me, who's not really that familiar with Krautrock. I listen to it, I'm like 14-minute track. I'm like, all right, I get into that. Then the next one's 13 minutes. I'm like, wow, these guys are committed.
I feel like that's kind of going back to, I was explaining in our practices, we'll just go. And I think for some reason, maybe it's a little more confidence or something that we're like, let's do that. Like, that's what we like to do. And not be afraid of that. I think before we're still we're always figuring out what we're doing. It's always, that's part of what I love about Motrik, is it always kind of feels like, well, where's this going to take us?
That's a good point, because when I was listening to the first album, the song Wolf, that's one of my favorites. That sounds like surf rock. There's definitely like a surf vibe. Like, I don't know if you guys remember they're still around, but they kind of hit a level of popularity in the 90s. A band called the Mermen. And they were
Yes.
yeah.
I remember them.
I get kind of a Mermen vibe from Wolf. It's like a surfy with a lot of feedback and some distortion, and it's just, but I get that vibe a little bit out of Wolf, and that's one reason I'm kind of drawn to it. But you guys aren't afraid to throw in curveballs like that. That's one of the things I really liked about going back and listening to the entire catalog. It was just, wasn't sure what was going to pop up sometimes in the middle of a song.
I'm impressed you listened to the catalog.
Yeah, that's.
I feel like I need to do that. I've forgotten all this. Like, how did Wolf go again?
Yeah. It was a beautiful riff that Cord got some. I think Cord came up with that one too.
Yep.
That riff, and I doubled it if I remember correctly. Just it was one of his more touching songs.
Well, I mean, look,
sorry, I just. No, you go first.
Okay.
Sure. Got it.
I feel like I'm at Night at the Roxbury right now. So I was listening to Artificial Head, and I mean, Outer Reaches, 20 minutes long. You guys really commit to this stuff.
Well, we should be.
You should be committed. Is that what?
I guess.
Do you want to speak to that record? I feel like Artificial Head is going to be the album that kind of is totally forgotten because we never really got a chance to play it out live. And it wasn't necessarily, it's a different kind of thing. So, I mean, wouldn't you agree? Side 1 and side 2 are completely different.
Yeah, and I think side 2, Outer Reaches, the big jammer, that was kind of pointing the arrow. I'm going to bring it to the new album, Dave. That's what people want to hear about. I feel like that was pointing an arrow to the new,
definitely,
to the new album, like in where our headspace was, you know. So that definitely fits more with the newer stuff.
Okay.
There were some little, what's the poppy jangle streamline? What's kind of came out of that same time period. There's kind of a mixture, right? Like these tighter song structures, but then not afraid of the big jammers too. I mean, another thing about the big jammers is I've never been in a band. I'm always the one that kind of wants to keep going with other people. I feel like in other groups I've played with, like, yeah, let's keep jamming. But with Motrik, it's funny. I'll look around that, oh my God, we're going to keep going here. You know? I'm like, and when that happens to me, I'm like, you know, like that's pretty special. Especially, I feel like Lee, the drummer, just he's not going to stop here. He
won't stop.
or if we do stop and then someone starts noodling on another riff that's close enough time, he'll just fire in with that and like, okay, we're off for another 10 minutes.
Wow.
You know? So yeah, the arrow pointing to the big jammers in Outer Reaches for sure. So
live shows for you guys, I'm going to want to merge these two things together. So the new album, all of you play a wide variety of instruments, except for maybe Lee. You know, he's got drums, congas, and a shaker.
Stuff he hits.
That's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot. He's got a lot to think about.
But I'm looking at the list here. So we've got, I'm not even going to try to pronounce half this stuff. I mean, I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13 different types of synths for you, Dave. And then Erik, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait, 8 instruments, 9 if you count your vocals. That's a lot. How do you guys do this live? Do you have to pick a set list well in advance to figure out what the hell instruments you're bringing to a show?
That was this album's definitely the most layered out of any of ours, and so that was a thing we had to think about a lot because we just had our first show. It's 1 week ago today, Dave.
It's a week ago, yeah.
Happy anniversary.
I feel great.
Yeah, I feel good too. Do you feel? Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel good about it still.
Yeah.
And beautiful.
And
I don't think disease was spread. So thank goodness
Masked
about
up.
that. Yeah.
Everybody in the audience, I think, was too. Yeah. At least that I saw.
Shit, what were we talking about?
Playing all these wild variety of instruments live.
Right. I was just thinking about last Friday and got all wistful.
We're going to do it again.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it again. I promise. So we had to figure out how to make these layers. And I think and in addition to that, like there was a lot of overdubbing. Like I would add parts, Cord would add parts, Dave would add parts, but we're going cross instrument. Like I would add a synth part, or usually that might be more in Dave's wheelhouse. And so like learning what layer to play. And then if I played a certain layer, then it's like Dave's learning that in addition. And And then I'm trying to figure out, okay, I was doing this with bass on the song, but I was also playing this other weird sequence thing at the same time.
Okay.
Not at the same time when I recorded it, but you know, like when we threw it all together, and we had congas, and so like I think it's a twofold process that we had to deal with. At least my impression is like pick what's the core of the song, what's the most important like 4 or 5 pieces that we can play and it still sounds good, and then learn those, you know, learn them and implement them and see how it works. Now Dave has been on the front lines. We're really proud of him. It's been a journey.
Trooper.
He's been a real trooper. But we were concerned with the song Red Eye, or I was, when we recorded it, just like, how is this going to happen live? Because it's very sequenced.
Great song.
Thank you. And but how are we going to do that, right? We've never done the electronic thing live before. So what?
Oh, wow.
So I had to like figure out, okay, what if we had like a drum machine that's spitting out some of these repetitive arpeggios and stuff to like have that happen? And then how do we integrate that with Dave? Because Dave, you can give him different inputs and then he'll plug them into his mechanisms. And so we're a MIDI band now. We use the musical instrument digital interface.
Wow, man.
And yep. But Dave, I feel like I want to hear it from your perspective.
Well, I just want to say that at least as far as the live performance goes, what I thought is interesting is because we're not locked. We're locked, but we're not. I know that sounds odd, but because there's a lot of freedom, because our drummer is actually really super good. We can kind of go into the clock and come out of it, go into the clock and come out of it. And we kind of do it. And I was noticing that, and I think that is the ultimate. That is what I want. I felt really pleased with that aspect of the live performance. So despite the fact we have some MIDI running around now,
it's a cliffhanger now.
Yeah, rubato that we used to have.
Yep, for sure.
Erik, I have a question for you. We'll wrap this up. I know I've kept you guys for quite a while here. I mean, we're going well over an hour at this point. I saw something, one of my favorite websites to check and get some background info on bands and some research material is Discogs.
Yeah.
And you have a visual credit for Drive-By Truckers' The Unraveling.
This is true.
What were you doing on that album?
I took a picture of the front cover. That's my photo.
No, awesome. You replaced Wes Freed for an album or two. Well, an album.
What's that?
You replaced Wes Freed for an album.
That's right. That's true. I never thought of it that way. I feel bad now.
Well, there was one. They did one other with a black and white cover. So
that's true. American band, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we've Patterson and family live really close by to us, and our 2 sons are like best buds.
Oh, cool.
And so that's my son and Patterson's son at the beach.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it was like a lovely moment, and I snapped the picture. I snapped a few because I like, this is so gorgeous. And I sent them, and Patterson just like, we got to make that's an album cover. Like he pretty soon, like he had made up his mind on it. Yeah.
That is
that's
awesome.
Pretty special.
I got to try to get him on the show one of these days.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Maybe
he's so nice. And he's so like, he has really been kind of a champion of Motrik as of late. Not even as of late, like
that was
early
a
on.
long time.
Yeah. And so he's having us come out to their homecoming. They do a big show in Athens every year.
Yeah.
It's like a 3 or 4 day kind of festival, all at the 40 Watt Club.
That's awesome.
We're rocking Friday night. So we're really stoked and so honored to be part of it.
Oh, that is great. What is that happening?
That is January
20th?
17th?
No, yes.
I think it's 17th.
We're leaving the 20th.
We're gonna do a Southern Fried Krautrock tour.
Southern Fried Kraut.
Yeah,
awesome.
Southern Fried Audubon. We're gonna work our way to Athens. That's gonna be the big main event.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, this will be out well before then. So that's
hell yeah. Yeah. We're gonna sell some copies at the 40 Watt.
Awesome. Oh my God, that's
move
awesome.
some units.
Move some units.
That's really what we're about.
I can
Unit
tell.
moving.
Yeah.
Unit moving. Hey, there's another band right there.
The Unitarians.
Dave, you
Never
just came up
mind.
with another side project. Units moving. You guys have so many side projects now. You better get moving.
I know. Yeah, we're busy.
I'm trying not to think about the big unit versus the little unit thing, but
Settle down, Dave.
Wow,
we're
this
back.
show suddenly got R-rated.
Huh?
Damn it.
Hey, if your mind went there.
Well, guys, where can people follow the band, get information about tours, buy the album, albums?
You can go to Instagram. I'd say
That's
follow
our
us.
favorite.
Follow us on It's our favorite platform.
Yeah.
Mine
If
too.
you're not familiar with it, it's a picture sharing platform that people generally use on their mobile devices, and we like it.
I love it.
And we are Motrik Band, so MOTRIK BAND, Motrik Band, and you go on and give us a follow and tell us Mark sent you here, and we'll give you a thumbs up.
That's all you'll get is a thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
But that's worth it. And,
So we generally announce kind of what we're doing there. I'd say also visit our Bandcamp,
very important.
which is motrik.bandcamp.
Yeah.
Is that right, Dave? Can you confirm this is true?
Also, Jealous Butcher.
We'll send them to Motrik Bandcamp. I think, that's easy to remember. But Jealous Butcher's our label as well, so you can definitely go there. And they've got all kinds of fun things.
That sounds delicious.
It is. And they work with a bunch of cool bands.
It's Motrik. Excuse me. It's Motrik.bandcamp.com.
Motrik.bandcamp.com, and you can pre-order the album now.
Excellent. Oh, that's awesome. Because
Red and blue vinyl.
ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for spending so much time with me and explaining Krautrock and giving me some new bands to listen to, because I've listened to your whole discography at this point. So now I'm kind of hooked. You guys hooked me.
Thank you.
Happy to have hooked you.
Yeah.
Hollow ship, particle maze, journey out from microwave, haven mouth, open wide, haven mouth, outside, clean sea.
So
Well, what happens when you get so drunk you weep? What do you listen to, man?
that
I want to know.
if I can find my notes, I will tell you, because
Okay, all right.
let me see.
There's all kinds of weepy drunks, and there's there's the violent drunk, of course. That's a whole
It's a whole different
Cops
soundtrack.
episode. Yeah, man.
If I get to the weeping stage, I'm usually, and this is the only time I listen to this, I usually listen to like really old country, like Fair and Young.
Oh, that's weepy.
Yeah.